what's up, man? Hit that like button, bro. I just watched The Joker. That was a dope fucking movie. Joaquin Phoenix played the role, and I'm just gonna get it out the way. I thought he outdid Heath Ledger. That's no disrespect to Heath Ledger, the legend, his impression of Joker in The Dark Knight, but this movie was just darker and more realistic. And this guy lost like 80 pounds to do this role. He was anorexic. It was just real dark and airy. Failed stand-up comedian, worked at a clown agency, had no respect from society, lived with his mom. He was just a glorified loser. And I think this was the best way how you do an anti-hero movie, because a lot of these anti-hero films like Catwoman, Maleficent, Venom. Catwoman was a flop. Venom I liked. Maleficent was cool, but they made you feel like sorry for these villains, and they took it to a sympathetic victim standpoint, and you walk away from the movie rooting for them. This one wasn't like that, because you still walk away from this movie like, yo, that was a masterpiece, that was good, but the Joker's still a piece of shit. You don't walk away from it feeling like, man, how am I gonna root against this guy if he fights Batman again? Because the scenes that take place, you're like, what the fuck would he? I mean, this is a man who kills his mother. I don't want to give it away by some people who haven't watched it, but you could tell obviously the way it ends is gonna be a sequel. I give it 3.5 out of 5. I won't give it 5 stars because I thought the build up to the climax scene was kind of like, it builds up to him meeting Robert De Niro, who plays this like live TV host. And I was like, damn, they built the whole movie up for that, and then it ends not too long after. I thought the climax was kind of like, they could have did that earlier in the movie. I didn't think that was climax worthy. Good scene and all, but I was just like, that's the climax of the film. You built it up for 2 hours for that, and I didn't like the finish. I thought the finish was kind of cheap, because when it ends, you're like, you ever see a movie and you're like, that's it. The way when it ends, that's what it was like. When it ended, I was like, what the fuck? I'm thinking we got at least 20 more minutes. I didn't like the finish, but it was dark. It was fucking eerie. I mean, some of the death scenes are even like, you're like jumping, like, oh shit, like what did he? It's intense. Like I said, I don't want to give it away in full detail like that, but it was dope. It was definitely worth seeing. It wasn't, some of the laughter after a while gets kind of old. You're like, okay, he's got this uncontrollable laugh. He's got like some kind of fucking laughing disorder. He can't stop laughing. He cries when he laughs. He laughs instead of cries. But there's one scene in particular when Batman's father gets killed in the alley, which everyone who watches Batman knows. When you see that scene of young Bruce Wayne looking at his parents, that's the scene that makes you like, okay, Joker's still a piece of shit. And that's why you walk away from this movie and he's still the villain that you love to hate. You don't look at him like, he's some folk hero. Because that's how they did Venom. Venom was from this evil planet, but he's the black sheep, and Eddie is this likable guy, and they're both losers in their own world, and you ended up rooting for Venom. And it's like, if I watched another Venom movie and Spider-Man together, I would have a hard time rooting against Venom. This one was different, and Joaquin Phoenix killed this shit, man. I thought he did a better job based off just the way the movie was written and directed. Not saying that he's a better actor than Heath Ledger, but this Joker was definitely cranked up a notch to a whole nother fucking level of darkness. This shit was sick, and his mother lying to him about being adopted, and just the way people treat him. He had this fantasy where he thought this black woman who lived next door, down the hall with her, she was a single mom, and they were going out on dates, and this and that. And I'm like, hell no, ain't no way this beautiful woman is fucking with this loser. And then they trace it back, and he was dreaming the whole time. I was like, okay, now that makes sense. But he's a black sheep. He's a fucking weirdo, and it's a good movie though, man. It really was. It wasn't. As far as people saying that it was too deep and it was too dark and it was disturbing, and I wouldn't take it that far. You'd have to watch it yourself. It's subjective, but I liked it. I give it 3.5. I might give it 4 out of 5. Take that back. I give it 4 out of 5. I give it 4 out of 5. I just didn't like the climax scene, and I didn't like the finish. I thought the finish was cheap. I thought they could have gave us at least 20 more minutes, but that's just me. So check that out, man. 4 out of 5. The Joker. No red tomatoes. Give it 4 popcorns. Give it 4 Frankie popcorns. It was good.